All right. Before Jasper speaks, right? I want to know, and this is going to be a setup for my good Judy here. How many of us on this panel have children? One person. Kaden, I'd like to hear from your perspective, please. As a parent, because a lot of times we trans people talk, but we don't have kids, and I've seen that be an argument a lot of times. That the straggots stay, that oh, y'all don't got no kids, so y'all don't know what y'all talking about, and y'all just want people to. We worried about the kids, so let's talk about it from a trans man. Ladies and gentlemen, we have trans men tonight on the show. From a trans man who has kids that can speak from the kids' perspective.
Yeah, so okay. First of all, I want to say that religious psychosis is really, 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 really real. And that poor lady, my God, on today, she needs to go to therapy. The thing is, people blame the devil on things, but who created the devil? Like, if God from religion is so all powerful and creates and can destroy everything, then God is also the devil, and we need to be aware of that, because he created all of us, all of this. None of that makes any sense, what she was saying. Also, you're not going to be gay if you ain't gay. No amount of seeing gay is going to make somebody who isn't already have a little teach, even a little bit of gay in them, gay. I don't care what they see. You cannot make somebody be gay if they are not gay, period. As far as kids go, people act like, I have a 5-year-old and I have a almost 12-year-old. People act like children are these fragile beings who just can't fathom that people from different lived experiences exist. My kids, my 5-year-old can explain to you the difference between a cisgender man, a transgender man, non-binary. She knows how to use correct pronouns. She knows all of the things, and she didn't implode. She's not going to die. My 11-year-old also knows the same things, and she doesn't. We don't know. We don't know what her sexuality is because she's not interested in anybody. But she's not influenced by the fact that I'm a trans man. She doesn't want to be trans. Both of my kids are actually super hyper feminine. Actually, they don't care about nothing I'll be thinking about. So there's that. But they don't have any interest in like transitioning or anything. And if they did, they at least know that they have a safe space to be. Also, the kids at their schools also don't give a shit. They don't care. They do not care, because guess what? Whether or not you provide a safe space for your child to tell you that they're gay or trans or queer or bi or any of those things, when they go to school and you're not around, they are gay and bi and trans and all of the things. All of these identities that you're seeing adults have, kids have them too, and they have them in spaces where they don't have the freedom to even be influenced into that. I'm 39 years old. I didn't have social media and things of that nature to steer me. You couldn't even be gay on TV. Like, that was the only time we saw trans people was on fucking Jerry Springer and shit. I'm a man. It was always that same thing. We didn't get to see positive influences of gay and trans people, and here we are, still gay and trans. And kids have to know that other people in this world exist. And the attempt to keep children from knowing that stuff is grooming.
I would say, like, I think with the kid situation, even though I don't have kids, I think we all have to understand that people use, and you talk about this a lot, Maddie. What about the kids? What about the kids? They use that as a reason to censor us. So they're not invested in the actual protection of children. They just need an excuse to censor. And then the other thing I will say is, while yes, you cannot make anybody gay, what we aren't really realizing or recognizing is there are more trans people and there are more bisexual people in this world than we are really aware of, who are just waiting to be awakened. And I think people are not ready the more that we speak, that they're afraid, right? We all know there's so many bisexual women, and they usually end up going to marry men a lot of times if they're, because that's what the culture wants. But I think the more that there's support, the more that there's community representation, you are going to see more kids transition. You are going to see more kids be gay. It's the same thing with the whole left-handed thing, right? I'm left-handed. There were so many less left-handed people when it was illegal or, shunned. But the moment that people said, go ahead, be left-handed, you saw those numbers just spike. And I think they're going to keep climbing, and people are uncomfortable with that.
I agree with Quay.
I do too.
I am gagging. I am like sitting here so proud right now. Absolutely, 1,000%, because that is exactly what the purpose of visibility and representation is, to free people up to see that they can be. It's a possibility model, right? Like, wow, I can identify. I think it was Niecy Nash talking about seeing Diane Carroll and was like, that's a possibility model for me, right? There are so many things. I saw Madison and it was like, oh, that's what I can identify with, right? Like, you can see something and it allows you the freedom and the liberation to live in your authenticity. So if the people do decide, because we're creating and cultivating safe spaces for our children to actually want to have a conversation with us and tell us, and not go into the shadows and unalive trans women and not sneak off into bathhouses and all of those things. No shade to the people that still do it. That's your thing. That's your thing. But it's allowing people to be able to have the freedom to live instead of exist for so long and then find their liberation at an older age, i.e. Caitlyn Jenner as an example of that. But it's like, now I can have the freedom at 11 or 12 to say I identify or I feel a certain type of way. And my parents are using the language and the information to identify and help me understand what I'm feeling. Good job, Clay. I'm so proud of you.
Wait a minute. I got my finger up because you used the reference. That was Caitlyn Jenner.
Well, I'm sorry. No, that was the example of like transitioning
at a later age. Okay, because we're not talking about a CD here. We're not talking about CDs. CDs are outdated. That we no longer use CDs.
Well,
we're not using CDs.
Maddie, don't do that. I'm here for the CDs, honey. My current partner is a CD, honey. Don't do that.
Okay.
Don't do that.
I would like to say,
is she joking?
I agree with Quay so much, and I think that.
Oh my
God. I would just like to kind of chime in on what Quay was saying. I think that when we're doing this, we're creating this visibility, and we're creating these policy changes, and we're creating a new kind of socio-political infrastructure. It's more than just the freedom. It's kind of the empowerment and the enablement to be your authentic self. And there's a lot of systems that kind of have to be undone and kind of be just removed. And I think that as we see those changes, which was so important to have all of this visibility, because it creates things like, for example, the reason why DL men exist is because there is so much shame directed at DL men. So I really do think that as we begin to make these changes, and we also create a society that's laws and ethics reflects it, we're going to see a lot more real, genuine numbers that are, representative.
So y'all still bashing me about the CD? Okay, I ain't gonna say CD no more, Fairy Puss. I love you because you my good sister, but I don't play with that CD right there.
If I may say, Maddie, I actually think you're onto something. Having worked as a sex worker, I really did have a client who really reminds me of Caitlyn. And I don't know. I think you might be onto something with her being a CD in some way. I don't think you're off.
So let me explain it. I gotta explain it, right? And I don't want to be biased here. I just want to explain it. Like her ideology lining up with but this is why this is okay. Get your thoughts right, TS, and say it how you feel, because this is up. We're talking amongst family. They're just watching us have a conversation. I think that Caitlyn Jenner was like one of those dates that wanted to be walked outside and walked on the corner in stockings and God take me outside and walk me down the street and oh God will I be humiliated and oh do you think I'm going to be pretty in a wig? And then I think that that's what was deeply inside of that CD, not Fairy Puss, no, Bree. I'm talking about that CD in particular. Okay, that CD.
Well, we don't fuck with that CD, bitch, and we don't. But you know that she's a cracker. You know, I know it's a lot of smart people on here. Y'all, if you don't know that I'm smart, bitch, click a link on one of my profiles or something and realize it. But I'm gonna talk real on this motherfucker, Maddie, honey. That's
hold on. Somebody said, Maddie, hold on. You're just jealous, Maddie, because she's on a larger platform than you, sweetie. I'm T.S. Madison, honey. Are you fucking crazy?
What platform is Caitlyn?
First of all, when did we start comparing ourselves to crackers?
To white people, hello.
Like that's cracker shit.
Bitch, are you crazy? You're crazy.
No.
Hi guys, you better get the fuck out of here, honey.
You better haul ass, bitch.
That was Caitlyn.
You and Caitlyn's athletic foot having ass bitch. Ain't nobody thinking about Caitlyn. Bigger platform, honey. Caitlyn ass was just stuck in Budapest or somewhere once. It was bombs over Baghdad and shit. Don't nobody want to be with Caitlyn's hard voice having ass. Don't nobody want to be compared to that
connected toe having fucking ass. Get out of here.
I agree with you, Maddie. I just say working girl to working girl. I don't know if anyone else, was in the profession, but I have seen clients, one particularly who I mean, just they are identical. The cross-dressing clients that I had are identical to Caitlyn. And the only reason I bring this up isn't to try to, or maybe we're talking about this. The reason I talk about it is I'm not trying to take away her transness. I just want to give some context for when she says anti-trans stuff, that it's potentially, she may be in a cisgender, not cisgender, she may be in a cross-dressing space. Her politics may have formed from a cross-dressing space. And I just need people to understand that she's not speaking for this community. She may be speaking for another community.
I got a question for you, Quay. Now with these
dates, are we gonna let Jasper say his point?
Oh, go ahead, Jasper. I'm sorry.
We gotta see if Jasper phone gonna work. Jasper over there, like Jasper, get it together, babe.
Jasper windmilling with the Wi-Fi connection.
No, Jasper, unmute your mic. Unmute your mic.
Is it working now?
Yay!
Okay.
Hola, ¿cómo estás?
Yes. So honestly, I think while I was gone, some other people on the panel kind of touched on what I wanted to touch on. But just the fact that a lot of people take the autonomy away from children, regardless of them being in whatever environment they're going to be in, they're going to be who they are. And, as somebody who works in crisis management, suicide prevention, specifically in with LGBT youth, 9 times out of 10, they're gay, they're trans, they're whatever they are. And it's really the fact that they don't see anybody. They don't have any representation. They don't have anyone that is affirming them or even trying to support them in exploring their identity, that a lot of the turmoil kind of comes, the depression, the internal conflict. And so I do think it is, I don't know who said this, but I do think that it's important to recognize that it is a control tactic. They want to give children a sexuality as long as it's straight. And if it's anything outside of that, then it has to be demonized. And children aren't allowed to have that autonomy. They're not allowed to have those choices. They're not allowed to have those experiences, those desires. But they're going to have them regardless. I grew up in a predominantly straight, cisgender, and very, very hyper-masculine family. And I was very trans. very queer. I was the very first person to come out in my whole family. And I sought out those things as children. Even though my parents did not show me any sort of representation, I was in my room, I was in my closet, I was at, whatever, seeking out, researching things about trans queer people. So even though they may not want to show you, if your child is queer or trans, they're gonna find it regardless because that's who they are. That's who they are.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's scary. I'm so glad that you brought that up, Jasper, because it's really scary. One of the statistics that has remained since before I was trans and now in my journey as a woman or my journey as a human, and I've been trans most of my life. I identified as trans most of my life. Anyway, the statistic is that the most common homeless, unhoused youth are LGBTQ plus youth.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And Jasper, and this has been consistent. I have been trans identifying for 20 years or more. So this has been consistent for the past 20 years. Jasper brought up another point. A lot of this, especially exile from family, feeling unsafe and uncomfortable in your sexuality and your gender in your family, the people who are teaching you how to love, the people who are teaching you how to love yourself, those manifestations and bottling those emotions up do end up turning into various forms of mental illness, substance abuse, all of the negative things that people should not want for their children.